Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pedalshift Project. The Pedalshift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments around the bike touring lifestyle. Tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride. Let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/121. You can email the show, pedalshift@pedalshift.net, or call the voicemail hotline 202-930-1109, and check Pedalshift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chapter 3 of Tour Journals Volume 10. Lots of numbers here. It is the Katy Trail, the continuing saga of my trip across the state of Missouri on the Katy Trail. When we last met, I had a bit of a rough day. Day 2 was a really challenging day. This chapter covers Day 3 of my Katy Trail adventure. It started in a very, very soggy Pilot Grove, Missouri, and continues to Jefferson City, Missouri, with a campsite in North Jefferson, Missouri. If you missed the other chapters, make sure you check them out. Those are all at Pedalshift Projects number 118 and 119. And of course, you go to them by pedalshift.net/118 or pedalshift.net/119 or through your favorite podcast app. As far as Day 3 goes, sometimes a good rest is all you need. That and an overpriced but gratefully available lightning cable and some dry shorts can reset things from a less than optimal day to one that kind of makes your tour. Plus, I got to do a meetup and enjoy some beer for the first time in Jefferson City. They say the third time's the charm. Sometimes, I think the third day is. Day 3. I am currently lying in my tent in North Jefferson, Missouri, right across the river from the state capitol. And really nice campsites here, really digging them. Very big old trees, very close to a Lewis and Clark historical marker. The place just feels very steeped in awesomeness from a bike touring perspective. So you might be able to hear the crickets that are in the background. You almost assuredly can hear the traffic in the background from the bridge going over the river. So it's not quiet. I think there's a rail line on the other side of the river, so I'm expecting to hit the earplugs for tonight, second night in a row. The day started with me rolling out of the tent. Still in Pilot Grove. It is the Friday morning, and last night rained and rained and rained and rained. There's also a park light that is roughly the number of candelas as the effing sun that was keeping my tent lit up all night. And there was somebody who was practicing to race motorcycles all around. So it was not ideal, but I'll tell you what, I was fed, I was dry, at least inside the tent, and I'd gotten all the gook off of me, and the price was free, which was great. And I just tied a bandana around my eyes and threw in some earplugs. And I'm telling you what, I slept the sleep of champions last night, which was fantastic. This morning I woke up to the sun. A couple of guys from Michigan I've camped in the same place 2 nights in a row. They were getting up. So I realized how wet everything must have been. I was kind of hoping that the sun would have dried stuff that I had hanging outside. I had it underneath, what do you call it, the covering, the picnic area kind of covering. There must be a name for those. I just don't happen to know it in the moment. Still working on my first sips of coffee. So I'm at the laundromat drying things out, including my sneakers, a nice big machine in there. And I'm having coffee. I wouldn't say I'm enjoying their coffee. I brought my entire kit with me. We're walking inside, by the way. It's still run. Brought my entire coffee kit, but I haven't had a good coffee yet on this trip, except on the train. Things are drying nicely. I threw in $1.25. Ever notice at laundromats, they never tell you how much it is or how much time you get per quarter? Feels like an industry subterfuge. I love that there's a screen door in the front. This is very cute. This is exactly the type of town that I kind of was expecting, green silos and trail running right through it. Limited services, but what's there is nice. People have been really, really helpful and friendly. I will have to say I've been really struck by that, and I've quite enjoyed it so far. And looking forward to hopefully getting to Jeff City today. There's a couple of other bailout points if 60 isn't in the cards, but I'm feeling kind of strong. So I'm hoping if the trail isn't quite as soft as it's been, it might be better. Also, there was a lot of ascent yesterday. I don't think I mentioned that. And it's not like it's huge hills or anything, but on a soft trail when it's raining and it's pretty nasty, it can be pretty pretty crazy. So yeah, yesterday was not ideal. The more I think about it, but I think it's starting to convert into type 2 fun now, especially once I get all my stuff dried and packed away again, and then getting back on the trail. I think that'll be good. That is it for the morning. I'm going to go back in, grab some dry clothes, pack them all up, get the heck out of Dodge. My directions say to go right. However, it's pretty clear I should be going straight. So I'll do that. Alec Grove, good on you. I was a little, I wouldn't say anxious, but I was a little concerned that days 1 and 2, I just was not very strong. Day 3, I was like, I got 60 miles. Let's do it. And it was easily the strongest day riding of all of the days. And I mark it up to 2 things. Number 1, I had better sleep, which is a huge deal. And frankly, I think I've just been smarter about how I've been eating. And ironically, that means eating in a way that I don't like to eat, which is to include a lot of sugar in my diet. And I know people find success, those of you who don't eat sugar like me typically. But when I'm touring, boy, my body just can't keep up with things when I eat the way I normally eat. And I can't eat the way I normally eat. I can't process just nuts and, nut butters and things like that in a touring context and feel good. I think I'm learning that's just how my body is. So while having sugar and simple carbohydrates in my day-to-day life is a terrible idea and makes me unhappy, and I gain weight and I feel like I'm talking about this all the time on the pod. When I'm touring, it's a really helpful thing. It keeps my mood up, it keeps me fueled, and I'm going good. So today I didn't fool around with that. I had a cherry cheese turnover as part of my breakfast. And I'll be honest, I felt good and I felt active the whole way through. Follow your experience and follow what is working for you. And that is that's I think a piece of the success between the sleep and the food. So I was super strong all day. I wasn't as hot. I drank a lot of water, not as much as day 1, strangely enough, but dumped some water on my head periodically. Took a few breaks, but not as many. It's not so hot as I've ridden in before. I've ridden in triple digits and humidity, and it's in the low 80s. Let's be real here. It's not that hot. It's certainly not that hot for around here, but it felt warm, especially in the direct sun. But I had my sun sleeves on. My white tee may not be so clean right now. In fact, it's not. So I may have to go to one of my black ones at some point. I'll have to see if there's a day that maybe doesn't have as much sun, because of course that'll just absorb the heat a little bit more. But white stuff does not stay clean on tour. News alert, right? Rocheport had a wonderful restaurant, thanks to Mr. T, friend of the show, for pointing that out to me. Food that I would expect on a menu in a larger city. And this is, a small town here on the trail. And it was excellent. Cooled down with about 6 big glasses of iced tea and ice water and vegetables, which felt like for the first time in the whole trip. So it just felt good and nourishing, and it was a little shy of halfway. So it was just a well-timed stop. Rocheport, great little town and right off the trail. And then I had 35 miles to go to get to North Jefferson. And frankly, I just pounded it all down. I stopped a few times. There was a sprinkle maybe with about 5 miles left. Sat on a bench for a few minutes. It was all good. Nothing to write home about. Spent some time taking some pictures, and I don't know what the YouTube videos are going to look like. It may be dominated by turtles, because I just stopped for every turtle. My girlfriend loves turtles, so I take pictures and videos of them for her. So if you see a lot of turtles in the videos, that's why. They've been kind of fun to see. I see a lot of them on the C&O, but I see them in the water more than I see them on the trail. And here, they just kind of wander out on the trail, sunning themselves. It's pretty good. Birds are everywhere, and I wish I could capture them, but there's such a fleeting bit of color flying across the landscape, and to be able to just capture that with a phone is really kind of impossible. But bluebirds, goldfinches, cardinals, just
The bird wildlife on this trail is off the charts, at least for me in this one experience. I have to say the blue herons on the CNO are amazing, but I don't see the diversity and the color that I've seen. Maybe it's because it's late spring. It's been a really special part of the trip, and I've really enjoyed that, the unexpected elements of the wildlife. Beautiful farmland vistas and prairie areas as well. I understand why the Katy Trail gets such love, and I think that it's probably from about this point on. Not to denigrate the western portions of the trail, but the day that I had today, setting aside the fact that I felt that much stronger, the bluffs, the cliffs, the river, it was a much more interesting and fulfilling experience. And so I think this is the part of the trail that people really fall in love with.
It's noisy, but I'm crossing the Missouri River. Just thought it would be a good time. Just finished up a meetup with Mike and his son, who is, I'm going to be honest, he was cool with it for a minute. And then he was less interested in things, but that's cool. Mike was great. Had a really good time meeting up with him. The fun thing about the Missouri River crossing here is there are locks on the chain link fence, not unlike in Paris. So it was kind of a nice memory there, seeing all that. How you doing? The reason why I turned on the recording was because I wanted you to experience, if not visually, the downhill. I'm not going to do this on the video, and I should, probably because there's 100,000 videos of this. There's this enormous square tower with the most baby incline or decline as I'm going down it to help people from the North Jefferson side of the river to the Jefferson City side of the river. And it is just so great. It's so overbuilt, but so amazing. You know, I compare it to the steep, crazy-ass structure that takes you on Maryland side of the river to Shepherdstown, West Virginia on the CNO. And, you know, Missouri man, you did it. you win. This is an amazing edifice, and I'm so proud of it. It is fantastic. I think you go around, you go around 3 times in this enormous square, and you have almost no hill at all. And you go up, it's got to be at least 60, 70 feet to be able to get up to the bridge across the Missouri. So, quite the edifice, and it's talked about a lot on the trail, and for good reason, because it is quite amazing. Just overall, this was one of the strongest days of bike touring I've had in a long time, and considering I felt so, and I don't know if this came across in the earlier segments, but I really was not feeling very strong at all going into the first couple of days of the tour. Just felt slow, felt weak, just wasn't feeling it. And it's the old rule of threes, man. That third day, you end up doing a lot more. Did the 60 miles and felt strong all the way through. I was originally worried about doing the 66 tomorrow as scheduled. I'm not worried about that now. This is a primitive campsite with no water, but really well built and really nice. I'm quite impressed by it. So I do have my bag. Now, I'm not sure if this even has water, so I may be slightly, maybe not hosed, but I may be disappointed with the amount of water I have for the evening. I have certainly enough to get through the day. I'm going to peek in here. Any running water? 0 running water. Okay. So that means that I am stuck with what's in my water bottle. So I will apportion that carefully because I want to make sure I have some coffee in the morning. And I've got to kind of decide what's going to happen. Jefferson City is a wonderful stop. If you're doing the Katy Trail, North Jefferson, the campsites are great. I had not been back to my campsite after I've abandoned all my stuff there. So if you hear from me in a few minutes, maybe I'll have a different point of view. But the really nice campsites, no running water. So make sure you bring the water that you need. $5 a night. You're right across from the river from the state capitol. It's just a great place.
One other element of the trail that I thought I'd talk about from day 3 that I thought was important was the surface. I think I've noted that I wanted to compare it to the Great Allegheny Passage. I think it's far superior to the Gap. It's similar in terms of how it behaves, but the drainage, based on the rain that we had yesterday to today, it's not even close to the Gap. The Gap will hold on like a wet sponge for a couple of days, in my experience. Your mileage may vary, but boy, it was dry as a bone today, and in a few spots it was very wet, which surprised me, but for a few hundred yards at most. And I was really pleasantly surprised how great of a riding day it was, condition-wise. And that was one of the great elements to all of this. I totally get why people are down with the Katy Trail because of surface alone. I was talking to the guy at the restaurant, and he was saying there was one guy, presumably he worked for the state parks because it's a giant state park, who was responsible for a really large swath that went through Rocheport and beyond. And he said, yeah, that's his job. He basically surfaces that, and I tip of the hat to him because he does a great job. I wonder, how much money does that cost the state of Missouri each year? What's the return on that investment? And is there a lesson for other states, other localities, other places for what they can do with rail trails? Everything that I know about bicycle infrastructure is that it is dirt cheap for the return on the investment. And I just wonder if the state of Missouri has good numbers to prove that. I suspect they do. Saw a lot of people out there enjoying the trails today, and it was a Friday. Tomorrow is a Saturday. I expect to see more people on the trail. It'll be interesting to see how that all goes. Anyways, day 3 was solid. If this is the only good day that I have for the rest of the trip, it's worth it because it was that good.
I haven't done this for the other chapters, but I'm going to start doing it now. Number of miles, 61.3 miles on day 3. Add on top of that a Jefferson City run over the bridge. Figure maybe another 4 miles on top of that. 0 mechanicals, 0 flats. And beers, I think it was 3. I kind of lost track, but since this is day 3, chapter 3, we're going to go with 3 beers. It was a good day. Coming up on the next chapter of Pedalshift Tour Journal Volume 10, Katy Trail.
I wonder if they'll have beer. They have beer. I've confirmed that too.
Let's put it this way. I needed a shower really badly.
So I picked it up and I used that and smudged my name onto the card.
And we like to end off the show, as always, with a big thank you to the supporters of the show who are members of the Pedalshift Society. If you like what you hear, you can help maintain Pedalshift as an independent, listener-supported voice while expanding the offerings. We're talking $1, $2, $5 a month. Helps with the cost of hosting the podcast and the website. You can do it for a bit and cancel anytime. One-shot support is welcome as well. If you're not into the small monthly thing, check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Ethan Georgie, Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lane, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Josiah Matthews, Keith Nagel, Brock Dittis, Thomas Skadow, Seth Krieger, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Noah Schroer, Harry Telgadas, John Sikorsky, Richard Killian, Chris Barron, Brian Wren, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Paul Mulvey, Stuart Buchan, Todd Stutz, Mr. T, Roxy Arning, Nathan Poulton, Harry Hugel, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Ruth Divorcey, Michelle Miller, Matthew Lewis, Michael Baker, Billy Crafton, Paul Culbertson, Scott Culbertson, Matt Perry, Danielle Jepson, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Bobby Rupel, Roy Everett, Greg Braithwaite, John Mayer, William Cairns, Sandy Pizzio, Richard Patch, Mark Messer, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, and Dave Roll. And thanks also to all past contributors and anonymous contributors for helping make this show happen. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedalshift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedalshift Project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.